Tonight, the internet didn't just whisper, exploded. What started as a routine livestream turned into a digital earthquake when a controversial commentator dropped a bombshell that no one saw coming. Within minutes, timelines were flooded. Group chats were on fire, and fans were asking the same question: who is protecting whom? According to viral rumors swirling across social media. A prominent media personality allegedly uncovered deleted episodes from a powerful network figure's past episodes that mysteriously vanished without explanation. Screenshots surfaced. Anonymous insiders spoke out. And suddenly, a carefully curated public image began to crack. Fans are shocked. Was this an act of whistleblowing? A calculated takedown? Or a desperate move in a long-brewing media rivalry? Sources close to the situation claim tensions had been building for months behind closed doors. On-air smiles masked off-camera disputes. Strategic alliances were formed. Messages were allegedly exchanged at midnight. And now, the phrase "protecting her handlers" is trending across platforms, fueling speculation about secret contracts, silent agreements, and power plays at the highest levels of online influence. Emotions ran high as supporters rushed to defend their favorite personalities. Some called it a courageous exposure of hidden truths. Others labeled it a reckless smear campaign designed to destroy reputations. Livestream reactions poured in. Reaction channels dissected every second. And the family was left divided: friends choosing sides, collaborators distancing themselves, and longtime fans questioning everything they thought they knew. But here's where it gets even more dramatic. An alleged insider hinted that this may only be the beginning. More receipts, more leaks, more revelations. So what really happened behind the scenes? Who deleted what tanned? Who's trying to control the narrative now? Denied everything? Unraveled didn't begin with a scream. It began with a silence. Silence so sharp, so calculated that it sliced through the digital world like a blade. For months, viewers had sensed tension beneath the polished studio lights of the Dominion network. The media empire built on controversy, loyalty, and power. At the center of it all stood Cassandra Vail, a sharp-tongued cultural commentator known for her fearless exposes and relentless criticism of institutional hypocrisy. Across the aisle stood Erika Kirk, rising network star whose career had skyrocketed after aligning herself with media mogul Charles Harrington, the architect behind Minion's influence machine. Fans once saw Cassandra and Erika as allies. They appeared at panels together. They reposted each other's clips. They built a shared audience that thrived on bold takes and viral moments. But behind the curated thumbnails and dramatic headlines, fractures were forming. Then, without warning, Cassandra uploaded a single cryptic post. The post did not name names. It did not offer details. It simply read, "Deleted doesn't mean erased. The truth has backups." Within minutes, speculation ignited. Industry insiders whispered about archived footage. Tech-savvy fans began digging through cached web pages. Old Dominion playlists were scrutinized. Something was missing: several early episodes from Charles Harrington's first streaming venture had quietly disappeared from every official platform. The episodes in question had once featured Erika Kirk before her rebranding. Before the image shift, before the carefully managed persona, before the contracts that insiders claimed were ironclad. At the time, she was outspoken, unpredictable, and often critical of the very network she would later represent. Now those episodes were gone, completely wiped. The deletion might have passed unnoticed if Cassandra hadn't ignited suspicion. But once curiosity turned into investigation, fans noticed patterns. Clips clipped, comments scrubbed, collaborative appearances vanished. Even third-party reaction channels reported takedown notices. Emotions ran high as online communities split into factions. Supporters of Erika insisted it was standard rebranding. Public figures reinvent themselves all the time. Old content gets archived. Strategies evolve. No conspiracy necessary. But Cassandra's followers saw something darker. They described it as digital cleansing, an attempt to rewrite history. Screenshots allegedly circulated in private groups, showing production emails, referencing handler approvals and content vulnerability assessments. The phrase "protecting her handlers" began trending. Speculation grew that Erika's rapid rise wasn't organic, but engineered, guided by unseen strategists who monitored optics, controlled narratives, and eliminated liabilities. If true, the deleted episodes could threaten more than just reputation. They could expose ideological inconsistencies, broken alliances, and early statements that contradicted her current brand. The family was left divided, and by family, viewers meant the Dominion ecosystem. Contributors began subtly distancing themselves. Cross-promotion slowed. Appearances were rescheduled. A podcast host abruptly canceled a joint episode citing scheduling conflicts, but fans suspected damage control. Behind closed doors, insiders claimed emergency meetings were held. Legal teams reviewed archived material. Public relations consultants analyzed sentiment graphs. Every move was measured, and Cassandra remained silent. That silence became its own strategy. Instead of releasing footage immediately, she allowed the rumor mill to churn. Every hour without clarification amplified anticipation. Every thread gained traction. The longer she waited, the more powerful the eventual reveal would be. The pressure mounted on Erika. Her recent uploads avoided the controversy entirely, focusing instead on unrelated topics. But viewership patterns showed something unusual. Comment sections were dominated by a single question: what was deleted? Longtime supporters expressed confusion. Casual viewers expressed curiosity. Critics expressed suspicion. And then a second wave hit. A digital archivist account claimed to have located partial backups of one missing episode. The footage allegedly showed a younger Erika openly criticizing Dominion's editorial direction and questioning Charles Harrington's leadership style. If authentic, the clip could contradict her current alignment. But before the clip could circulate widely, it vanished. Again, this time, fans captured screen recordings of the disappearance itself. They documented timestamps. They tracked copyright strikes. They archived removal notices. Fans are shocked. Observers posted repeatedly. The speed of suppression fueled the narrative of concealment. Commentary channels began framing the situation. As a power struggle, was Cassandra exposing hypocrisy? Or orchestrating a strategic takedown time to maximize attention? Analysts noted that Cassandra's subscriber growth spiked during the controversy. Meanwhile, his team released a carefully worded statement about platform maintenance and intellectual property review. It neither confirmed nor denied the existence of handlers. That ambiguity intensified suspicion. As the story grew, former collaborators resurfaced. Some hinted at strict messaging guidelines within Dominion. Others denied any coercion and described the network as professionally managed. The ambiguity became gasoline. Conspiracy threads mapped connections between production staff, PR firms, and political consultants. Old LinkedIn profiles were examined. Event photos were reanalyzed. Emotions ran high as every archived photo became potential evidence. Cassandra then posted a second cryptic message. Episode 14 wasn't the only one. That single sentence detonated another wave of chaos. Episode 14 had been one of the most viewed early recordings, a heated roundtable discussing media transparency. If that episode contained controversial remarks, the stakes were even higher than fans assumed. Speculation shifted from simple hypocrisy to institutional narrative control. Dominion erasing inconvenient ideological evolution.
I like her.
Willing participant or a managed asset? Was Cassandra motivated by principle or rivalry? The family was left divided once again. Some longtime fans felt betrayed, not necessarily by the alleged deletions, but by the possibility that authenticity had been manufactured. Others accused Cassandra of exploiting private industry disputes for clout. Behind the scenes, insiders whispered about contracts with morality clauses and non-disparagement agreements. If Cassandra possessed archived material, releasing it could trigger legal warfare. The silence from both camps became suffocating. Late-night live streamers dissected facial expressions from Erika's latest appearance. They analyzed tone shifts, posture changes, and subtle hesitations. Every detail became symbolic, and then something unexpected happened. A former Dominion producer anonymously posted a statement claiming that content audits were standard procedure whenever a contributor's brand shifted significantly. According to the statement, no malicious intent existed, only risk management. But the timing was suspicious. The statement surfaced mere hours after Cassandra's episode 14 hint. Was it coincidence? Damage control? Or internal dissent? Speculation deepened. Meanwhile, digital investigators discovered that metadata from the network's archived pages showed bulk removal within a 48-hour window. The deletions were not gradual, they were coordinated. Fans are shocked, repeated across platforms. Coordinated removal implied urgency. Urgency implied fear, and fear implied vulnerability. As pressure intensified, advertisers reportedly paused. Pending campaigns, brands prefer stability, not scandal. Industry watchers noted a subtle but measurable dip in Dominion's stock value. The controversy had evolved from gossip to financial risk. Still, Cassandra withheld the alleged footage. She instead uploaded a teaser titled "The Handlers." The video contained no evidence, only commentary about narrative management in digital media empires. She spoke about image rehabilitation, strategic alliances, and the illusion of independence. Without naming Erika, the implications were unmistakable. The audience connected the dots. The narrative now suggested something larger than deleted episodes. It hinted at systemic orchestration, a structure where rising personalities were shaped, protected, and occasionally rewritten. And as the digital world spiraled into speculation, one crucial question remained unanswered. What exactly was in episode 14? Because according to multiple anonymous claims circulating late that night, episode 14 did not merely show ideological inconsistency. It allegedly revealed a private disagreement between Erika and Charles Harrington about editorial autonomy, a disagreement intense enough that production briefly halted. If true, it would challenge the image of unity Dominion projected. As midnight approached, Cassandra posted one final message for the night. Tomorrow, no explanation, no clarification. It's just a promise. The word spread like wildfire. Fans refreshed timelines obsessively. Reaction channels scheduled emergency. Streams, comment sections flooded with anticipation. Behind closed doors, lawyers allegedly drafted cease and desist letters. Publicists prepared contingency statements. Allies weighed loyalty against self-preservation. The family was left divided more than ever. Because if Cassandra released the footage, the fallout could redefine careers. She didn't, she risked losing credibility. Everything now hinged on tomorrow. And somewhere inside Dominion's headquarters, lights remained on long past midnight as executives debated their next move. Unaware that the storm gathering outside their controlled ecosystem was about to intensify beyond anything they had anticipated. Morning did not arrive quietly. It arrived with notifications. At exactly 9 a.m., Cassandra Vale uploaded a video titled Episode 14, The Truth They Buried. The thumbnail was minimal, almost clinical. No dramatic facial expressions, no red arrows. Just a blurred studio background and the words, "Archived." Within 5 minutes, the video surpassed 100,000 views. Within 15, the comment sections across Dominion's channels began flooding again. But this time, Cassandra did not immediately reveal footage. Instead, she began by outlining a timeline. She referenced the early years of Dominion Network, its formation, its financial backers, its aggressive expansion strategy. She described the transition period when emerging voices were recruited and reshaped. She spoke about rebranding cycles and narrative realignment. The buildup was methodical. Fans are shocked at how calculated it felt. Rather than unleashing chaos, Cassandra framed herself as analytical, almost detached. She explained how episode 14 had originally centered on editorial independence. She described tension behind the scenes, A difference in vision between emerging personalities and executive leadership. Still no footage played. The suspense became unbearable. As the video crossed 500,000 views, Cassandra finally displayed a time-stamped production log allegedly from Dominion's internal archive. The document suggested that filming had paused for 32 minutes during episode 14 due to content review disputes. That phrase ignited the internet. Content review disputes. What did that mean? Reaction channels immediately began speculating. Some argued it was standard quality control. Others insisted it implied censorship. Emotions ran high as viewers replayed the segment repeatedly, analyzing every word Cassandra used. Then came the twist. Cassandra claimed that the deleted portion of episode 14 did not simply involve a disagreement about tone. According to her, the dispute concerned future positioning, specifically how Erika would be publicly aligned within Dominion's ideological framework. The implication was explosive. If true, it meant branding decisions were not merely collaborative, but strategic, possibly even directive. The family was left divided yet again. Supporters of Erika insisted that strategic alignment is common in large media companies. Opponents insisted that alignment suggested manipulation. As the video climbed toward 1 million views, Cassandra revealed an audio waveform. Not the audio itself, but a visual representation of the missing 32 minutes. She claimed legal review prevented her from playing it in full. The absence of sound somehow made the moment louder. Speculation intensified. Anonymous accounts began sharing alleged summaries of what the audio contained. Some claimed Erika had expressed hesitation about adopting certain talking points. Others alleged she questioned long-term loyalty to Dominion's executive leadership. None of it was verified. But the internet does not wait for verification. Hashtags trended globally. Advertisers began issuing vague statements about monitoring developments. One brand quietly removed its logo from Dominion's website. Industry analysts began discussing risk exposure. Meanwhile, Erika uploaded her own video. She did not mention Cassandra by name. She spoke instead about growth, evolution, and the reality of building a career in media. She acknowledged that old content sometimes reflects earlier stages of professional development. But she denied any coercion. Her tone was calm, measured, and controlled. Fans dissected every micro-expression. Some saw confidence, others saw tension. The divide deepened. Then came another unexpected development. Former Dominion editor, who had remained silent until now, posted a lengthy thread describing internal narrative audits. According to the editor, audits were conducted quarterly to ensure messaging consistency across contributors. The phrase narrative audits immediately went viral. Was it corporate discipline or ideological enforcement? Emotions ran high once again. Cassandra responded within hours, claiming she possessed documentation of at least 3 audit cycles involving Erika's early content. She suggested that the deletions aligned precisely with those audit periods. The timing seemed deliberate. As digital investigators compared timestamps, they discovered that several removed videos shared thematic similarities all involved discussions about institutional independence. The pattern appeared too consistent to ignore. Fans are shocked at the apparent coordination, but the situation escalated further when an internal scheduling document allegedly surfaced, showing a planned rebranding rollout for Erika months before her public persona shift. The document referenced handler review checkpoints. The word handlers reignited everything. Commentators debated its meaning. In corporate contexts, it could simply refer to talent managers. In conspiracy circles, it carried darker implications. The ambiguity fueled engagement. Meanwhile, Dominion executives held a closed-door live stream for shareholders, attempting to reassure them of stability. Clips from the meeting leaked almost immediately, revealing defensive language and vague assurances. Stock prices fluctuated. Again, as tension mounted, a rumor began circulating that Cassandra had been offered a private settlement to halt further disclosures. She neither confirmed nor denied it. Instead, she posted a single image, a countdown timer set to 24 hours. The message was clear. more was coming. The family was left divided beyond repair. Collaborators publicly declared neutrality. Others quietly unfollowed one another. Group photos from past conferences resurfaced, analyzed for subtle signs of alliance shifts. Even long-forgotten podcast appearances were re-examined for hints of tension. Emotions ran high across every platform. Late that evening, a small but significant detail emerged. Digital archivists discovered that episode 14 was not the only episode edited. Metadata suggested microcuts in several later broadcasts, brief segments trimmed without public acknowledgement. The edits were subtle, almost invisible. Now under scrutiny, they felt intentional. Cassandra updated the countdown caption with a single phrase: "It was never just one episode." The implications expanded exponentially. If multiple edits occurred, what exactly was being curated? Industry veterans began speaking anonymously to media blogs, describing the delicate balance between authenticity and brand protection. Some defended Dominion's actions as standard practice. Others warned that over-curation risks eroding trust. Trust became the central theme. As midnight approached again, Erika's subscriber count began to drop for the first time in months. Cassandra's surged past a new milestone. Hour was shifting. But just as audiences prepared for Cassandra's next release, something unexpected disrupted the narrative. Dominion filed a formal complaint alleging unauthorized access to proprietary archives. The accusations stunned viewers. If Cassandra accessed internal materials without permission, the story transformed from whistleblowing to legal battle. Fans are shocked at the sudden escalation. Speculation fractured further. Was Cassandra exposing truth or crossing legal boundaries? Was Dominion protecting intellectual property or silencing dissent? The family was left divided in ways that felt irreversible. And as the countdown timer ticked toward zero, both sides braced for impact, unaware that the next revelation would not only reshape Erika's career, but potentially fracture Dominion's entire foundation. When the countdown timer hit zero, the internet didn't crash, but it felt like it might. Cassandra Vale's channel went live without warning. No flashy intro, no music, just a black screen for 12 seconds. Long enough to make viewers question whether something had gone wrong. Then the screen faded in. Instead of leaked footage, Cassandra revealed something far more strategic: a document trail. On screen appeared a timeline chart mapping Dominion's internal narrative audits against Erika Klein's public rebrand milestones. Each data point showed alignment between content removals, messaging shifts, and sponsorship announcements. The precision was unsettling. Fans are shocked at how methodical the restructuring appeared. Cassandra explained that she had cross-referenced archived web captures with production calendars and promotional rollouts. According to her findings, 3 major rebranding pivots coincided with structured content deletions and micro-edits. The pattern suggested orchestration, but the real explosion came seconds later. Cassandra revealed that episode 14's missing 32 minutes were not permanently erased. Instead, she claimed the segment had been internally reclassified under a restricted media label, a designation typically reserved for legal review or executive sensitivity. The term executive sensitivity sent shockwaves across social platforms. If true, that classification implied the footage posed reputational risk at the highest level. Emotions ran high as viewers attempted to decipher what kind of discussion could trigger such internal alarm. Then Cassandra introduced a new element: an internal strategy slide allegedly titled Talent Evolution Pathway. The slide described 3 phases for rising contributors: emergence, alignment, and authority. Erika's name appeared under the alignment phase, dated months before her public persona shift. The implication was subtle but powerful, suggesting her transformation was not spontaneous but scheduled. The family was left divided once again. Supporters argued that structured development is common in media. Critics insisted the language sounded more like brand engineering than organic growth. As Cassandra continued, she described a moment within episode 14 where, according to her summary, Erika questioned long-term creative autonomy under Dominion's expanding influence. Cassandra did not play audio. She instead displayed a redacted, Transcript excerpt, claiming legal constraints limited what could be shown. The excerpt referenced phrases like editorial boundaries and messaging cohesion, ambiguous enough to protect Cassandra legally, provocative enough to inflame the audience. Meanwhile, Dominion responded aggressively. A public statement accused Cassandra of manipulating context and presenting speculative interpretations as evidence. The network asserted that talent development frameworks are standard in corporate media environments, but the damage was already unfolding. Independent commentators began analyzing Dominion's past contributor departures. Several former hosts had quietly exited over the past 2 years, citing creative differences. Now those exits were reinterpreted. Fans are shocked as old resignation posts resurface. Some former contributors posted cryptic emojis. Others remained silent. The silence felt louder than commentary. Then came an unexpected twist. An anonymous whistleblower account claiming to be a mid-level Dominion producer released a spreadsheet listing content review flags associated with various contributors, not just Erika. The spreadsheet suggested that messaging adjustments were applied unevenly. Some personalities retained full autonomy. Others underwent frequent alignment checks. Speculation shifted from individual controversy to systemic hierarchy. Emotions ran high across all camps. As Cassandra's livestream reached peak viewership, she addressed the legal complaint Dominion had filed the night before. She denied unauthorized access and claimed her materials came from independent archival research and voluntary sources. The legal tension escalated narrative stakes dramatically. Industry analysts began discussing potential litigation scenarios. If Dominion pursued action, the discovery process could force disclosure of internal communications. If they didn't, critics would question why. Meanwhile, Erika posted a carefully crafted image on her social feed, a studio desk with the caption "Transparency Matters." The simplicity of the message amplified speculation. Was she signaling independence or reinforcing loyalty? The ambiguity deepened the divide. Late that evening, a financial report revealed that 2 secondary sponsors had paused collaborations. With Dominion pending brand safety evaluation, brand safety became the new trending phrase. Advertisers do not tolerate uncertainty. Dominion executives reportedly convened emergency strategy sessions. Internal morale began wavering as employees faced mounting external pressure. Then Cassandra delivered her boldest claim yet. She alleged that Episode 14's restricted classification occurred within hours of a private executive meeting. Involving Charles Harrington, an external consultant specializing in reputation management, the timeline alignment intensified suspicion. Fans are shocked as digital sleuths attempt to verify consultant contracts. As night fell, another unexpected element surfaced. A former PR strategist publicly explained that reclassification of sensitive footage is often used to prevent future reputational conflicts during contract renegotiations. That explanation introduced a new possibility. Perhaps the deletions were less about ideological manipulation and more about financial leverage. If controversial footage existed, it could weaken a contributor's negotiating power. The narrative evolved again. Was Erika protected or controlled? Was Dominion safeguarding its brand or consolidating authority? The family was left divided in increasingly complex ways. Some viewers began expressing fatigue, others became more invested than ever. Then, just as momentum seemed to plateau, Cassandra released a brief supplementary video. In it, she revealed that Episode 14 contained a moment where production allegedly paused after Erika referenced outside advisory pressure. That phrase ignited everything all over again. Outside advisory pressure. Who were these advisors? Corporate consultants? Political strategists? Financial stakeholders? Speculation expanded beyond Dominion's walls. Commentary channels began mapping possible external influences tied to funding sources and partnerships. The scope of the controversy ballooned. Emotions ran high as viewers debated whether this was still about deleted content or about power structures shaping digital discourse. Meanwhile, Dominion's legal team issued a second statement warning against the dissemination of proprietary materials. The tone was firmer, the stakes were higher. But perhaps the most dramatic shift came from within Erika's own audience. A segment of her longtime supporters began requesting a direct, unscripted response. No prepared statements, no curated setting. They wanted authenticity. The pressure mounted. Subscriber fluctuations continued. Investor anxiety grew. Internal. Employees reportedly expressed concern about job security if advertiser withdrawals escalated. The narrative was no longer contained to online drama. It had real-world implications. And yet, the central question remained unresolved. What exactly happened during those missing 32 minutes? As midnight approached for the third consecutive night of chaos, Cassandra posted one final update, a blurred image of a conference room. The caption read, "You're looking in the wrong direction." The cryptic message shifted attention away from Erika and toward something larger. If viewers were looking in the wrong direction, then who or what was the real focus? Speculation fractured once more. Some theorized that Erika was merely a visible face in a deeper power structure. Others insisted Cassandra was orchestrating a narrative labyrinth to maintain attention. But one thing was undeniable. Storm had moved beyond individual rivalry. It now threatened to expose the architecture of influence behind Dominion itself. And as internal sources hinted at fractures among executive leadership, whispers of disagreement over how aggressively to respond. The foundation of the empire began showing cracks that no amount of narrative auditing could fully conceal. The cracks were no longer theoretical. They were visible. Within 48 hours of Cassandra Vail's final cryptic post, Dominion's internal instability began surfacing in ways even executives could not fully contain. Started subtly, a senior producer updating their professional profile. To open to work, communications director quietly removing Dominion branding from their bio. A longtime contributor postponing a scheduled appearance citing strategic reassessment. Fans are shocked as these seemingly minor shifts accumulate into something larger. The digital ecosystem that once felt tightly controlled now appeared. Porous Cassandra did not release new footage. Instead, she shifted her strategy again. She published a long-form analytical breakdown titled The Architecture of Influence. In it, she reframed the controversy not as a personal feud, but as a case study in how media institutions shape personalities to fit evolving commercial demands. She highlighted patterns, talent, incubation, alignment, calibration, authority, amplification. She avoided naming Erika directly. That omission was strategic. By broadening the lens, Cassandra made the story feel systemic rather than personal. The audience's focus began drifting away from individual blame toward institutional design. Emotions ran high as viewers debated whether this was an exposé or an intellectual rebranding of the scandal. Meanwhile, Dominion attempted a counteroffensive. The network announced an internal transparency initiative, promising updated content, archives, and clearer editorial disclosures. They framed it as a proactive evolution rather than reactive damage control. But timing matters. To many observers, the initiative felt less like leadership and more like containment. The family was left divided yet again. Some praised Dominion for responding constructively. Others insisted it was an admission disguised as reform. Then came the leak that changed everything. Confidential investor memo surfaced online. The memo referenced Phase 3 risk mitigation and specifically mentioned reputational volatility linked to talent autonomy narratives. That phrase reverberated across platforms. Talent autonomy narratives? It suggested that conversations about independence were not merely philosophical, they were categorized risks. Fans are shocked at how clinical the language appeared. Cassandra seized the moment. She pointed out that the memo's timeline aligned almost perfectly with the deletion window of episode 14 and other archived edits. According to her analysis, Dominion's risk model flagged certain unscripted authenticity moments as potential liabilities. If accurate, the implications were staggering. Authenticity itself could be considered risk. Meanwhile, Erika's silence grew heavier, her uploads became less frequent. She did appear, production felt tighter, more polished, more structured than ever before, viewers noticed. Engagement metrics revealed a growing split, loyalists defending her unwavering professionalism. Critics interpreting the polish as proof of constraint. Emotions ran high across both sides. Late one evening, an unexpected development emerged. Former Dominion executive, long retired from the company, gave an interview to an independent media outlet. Without referencing current events directly, the executive described a historical culture of strategic alignment within the network. According to the interview, rising personalities were often guided through narrative optimization to ensure consistency with corporate direction. The phrase narrative optimization ignited fresh speculation. Was this mentorship or manipulation? The ambiguity fueled debate. As pressure mounted, rumors began circulating that Dominion's board members were not unified in their response strategy. Some reportedly favored aggressive legal action against Cassandra. Others feared that litigation would validate her claims. Internal fractures widened. The foundation trembled. Then, in a move no one anticipated, Cassandra announced she would not release the missing audio from episode 14. Instead, she declared that the story was no longer about a single clip. She claimed the real revelation was structural, the understanding that digital personas operate within invisible frameworks shaped by funding, sponsorship alignment, and reputational safeguards. Fans are shocked by the restraint. Some expected an explosive drop. Instead, Cassandra delivered philosophical escalation. The narrative transformed again. This was no longer a content leak saga. It was an examination of power. Meanwhile, advertisers continued reassessing partnerships. A third mid-level sponsor quietly paused collaboration pending internal review. Industry analysts began questioning whether Dominion's centralized influence model was sustainable in an era obsessed with perceived authenticity. Investor confidence wavered. Employee morale reportedly dipped further as uncertainty lingered. And then, just as the conversation seemed to stabilize around institutional critique, a new twist surfaced. Archived footage from an unrelated Dominion event revealed a passing. Remarked by Charles Harrington years earlier, a comment about curating conviction. The phrase resurfaced and went viral. Curating conviction. Critics interpreted it as evidence of ideological engineering. Supporters argued it was metaphorical language about refining messaging. The divide intensified, as the family was left divided beyond reconciliation. In response, Dominion scheduled a live town hall event promising open dialogue about editorial processes. The announcement was bold and risky. Cassandra reacted with a single post. Transparency without context is theater. That line spread rapidly. As anticipation built for Dominion's town hall, internal sources suggested strict moderation protocols would be in place. Questions would be pre-screened, topics would be structured. The irony was not lost on observers. Emotions ran high as viewers prepared to witness either genuine reform or performative damage control. The night of the town hall arrived, viewership numbers were unprecedented. Charles Harrington addressed concerns calmly, emphasizing creative collaboration and professional growth. He denied coercion, he denied censorship, he framed narrative alignment as strategic clarity. Yet something felt different. For the first time, Dominion's authority appeared defensive rather than dominant. And while no direct evidence of wrongdoing had surfaced, perception had shifted irreversibly. Authenticity, once assumed, was now questioned. Even if Dominion survived legally and financially, the illusion of organic rise had been fractured. Cassandra's strategy had not been to destroy. It had been to destabilize certainty. And as the town hall concluded with promises of greater transparency audits and contributor autonomy reviews, one unresolved tension remained suspended in the air. Erika herself had still not addressed episode 14 directly. Not the dispute, not the restricted classification, not the alignment timeline. Her silence had become the loudest element in the entire controversy. And as analysts speculated whether she would eventually break that silence independently of Dominion's structure. Internal whispers suggested that contract renegotiations were quietly underway behind closed doors. Because when trust fractures publicly, leverage shifts privately. the empire still stood. But its foundation no longer felt immovable. And just as both sides began recalibrating strategies for a long-term standoff, a final development emerged. That would redefine not just the controversy, but the balance of power inside Dominion itself. Redefine not just the controversy, the balance of power inside Dominion itself. The shift did not happen publicly at first. It happened in boardrooms. Within days of the town hall, rumors intensified that emergency governance meetings were underway. Not about Cassandra, not about episode 14, but about internal restructuring. The controversy had exposed something far more dangerous than a deleted episode. It had revealed vulnerability. Investors do not panic over a single clip. They panic over instability. Instability was now measurable. Confidential advisory. Memo began circulating among financial analysts suggesting Dominion's centralized authority model was overexposed to reputational concentration risk. In simpler terms, too much power sat at the top. Too much narrative control depended on too few decision-makers. Fans are shocked as business outlets begin covering what was once only online drama. For the first time, mainstream financial commentary mentioned Cassandra's name, not as a provocateur, but as a destabilizing variable. Meanwhile, inside Dominion, negotiations reportedly intensified with key contributors, including Erika. The phrase, contract recalibration, surfaced. Observers began speculating that Erika's silence was not submission, but leverage, because silence, in a moment like this, holds value. Engagement data revealed something fascinating. Despite subscriber fluctuations, Erika's audience loyalty metrics remained unusually strong. Her supporters were not abandoning her in mass numbers. They were waiting for autonomy, waiting for clarity, waiting for proof. Motions ran high as speculation swirled about whether she would break from Dominion entirely. Then, without announcement, a subtle but historic update appeared on Dominion's website. A new section labeled Contributor Editorial Independence Framework. The document outlined revised policies granting on-air personalities greater creative disclosure rights and opt-out protections during content audits. The language was careful, but the implication was undeniable. Change had occurred, Cassandra responded hours later with a brief analysis, acknowledging the policy shift. She did not claim victory. She did not gloat. She framed it as evidence that structural scrutiny yields structural evolution. Fans are shocked at the calm tone. The narrative that began as a scandal now resembled institutional reform, but the final twist had yet to arrive. Late one evening, a scheduled upload appeared on Erika's channel. No thumbnail theatrics, no dramatic caption, just a simple title, Evolution. The video was filmed in a minimalist setting, no Dominion branding, no visible production signatures. Just Erika. She did not reference Cassandra by name. She did not attack Dominion. She spoke about growth, about navigating systems, about balancing conviction with collaboration. She acknowledged that early career moments sometimes reflect exploration rather than final identity. She confirmed that episode 14 had included a passionate internal debate about creative direction. She confirmed that portions were later removed during a broader archive review. But she denied coercion. She reframed the conflict as a negotiation of vision rather than suppression of truth. The tone was measured, reflective, almost strategic. And perhaps most importantly, she announced the launch of an independent production imprint, operating in partnership, not dependency. The distinction resonated, as the family was left divided one last time, but now along different lines, not between believer and skeptic, but between those who saw the evolution as empowerment and those who saw it as damage containment. Industry analysts quickly interpreted the move as calculated autonomy. By establishing partial independence, while maintaining selective collaboration, Erika repositioned herself not as a managed asset, but as a strategic equal. Dominion's stock stabilized within days. Advertisers resumed paused campaigns. Cassandra's growth plateaued, not because interest faded, but because the explosive uncertainty had transitioned into structural recalibration. The storm had not destroyed the empire. It had reshaped it. Episode 14 was never released in full. The restricted audio remained unseen, In many ways, that absence became symbolic, because the controversy was never truly about 32 missing minutes. It was about perception. It was about the invisible architecture behind visible influence. It was about whether authenticity survives inside systems designed to optimize narrative. And perhaps most importantly, it was about power, who holds it, who negotiates it, and who benefits when it shifts. In the months that followed, Dominion implemented transparency disclosures across multiple programs. Cassandra pivoted toward broader institutional analysis. Erika's independent imprint produced content that felt subtly less constrained. The digital ecosystem adapted. Trust, once fractured, recalibrated. But the question lingered quietly beneath every polished broadcast and every viral clip. How much of what we see is organic, and how much is engineered? Fans are shocked that the answer